Discover the incredible truth behind her calm smile as he revealed their divorce, the unexpected descent into chaos. Jessica held the lukewarm coffee mug tightly, the ceramic cool against her palms, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions spiraling within her. The only sound in the kitchen was the faint hum of the ceiling fan, a soothing reminder of her carefully curated life. But then, the sterile thud of the letter slapping down on the table ripped through the calm. The envelope bore familiar handwriting marks. A tight knot formed in her stomach as she ripped it open, every fiber of her being bracing for something seismic. "Jessica, I think it's time." The words blurred into the background as her breath quickened. Divorce. Her heart stalled, disbelief coursing through her. She had devoted her life to her family, meticulously constructing this facade of tranquility only to have it shattered by his distant truth. What had gone wrong? The sacrifice of professional ambition for family stability now felt like a surrender, a betrayal of the values she held. Was it wrong to cling to a dream of marriage when it seemed to wither before her eyes? She felt sickened by the realization that their love, once vibrant, now flickered like a dying ember. And fear seeped in, fear of being alone, fear of letting her children down, fear of being labeled a failure in the very roles she cherished. Her mind raced back to moments she thought defined all their struggles, the late nights grading papers and the missed promotions at work. Each choice, each step taken, had been for the family, yet it had ultimately led to this precipice. Confronting Mark felt inevitable now, yet a rising tide of desperation washed over her. Would she find the words? Would she find the strength? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jessica contemplated packing up their life together, an unexpected spark flickered beneath the surface, a yearning to create. Colorful crayons littered the dining table as her children blissfully scribbled away, the chaotic energy of their laughter washing over her like a balm. She joined them, the momentary bliss kindling a sense of freedom she had long forgotten. The strokes of vibrant hues unleashed a well of buried creativity within her, a voice she hadn't known was stifled. But even amid that warm chaos, the reality of her impending divorce clawed at her insides. In preparing to confront Mark, she envisioned not just the painful conversation but the unexplored journeys that lay beyond. A conversation steeped in disappointment emerged within her mind, where she would finally impose her needs and desires against the harsh backdrop of their shared history, yet still loomed the question of her children's happiness, their well-being tangled in the mesh of her newfound ambitions. Could she be both the dedicated mother they needed and the creative individual she yearned to become? Worry carved deeper lines upon her face, and tension had taken up residency within her chest. How could she navigate the tumultuous waters ahead while attempting to hold on to the exquisite moments with her children? As the crayon colors blurred on the paper before her, a painful realization seeped in. Life was about to change irrevocably, and she didn't know if she was ready to face that transformation. Jessica sat at the dining table, evidence of her children's creativity surrounding her, yet the colors felt muted against the backdrop of her turmoil. She picked up a crayon, its bright crimson hue stark against the white paper, and began to scribble aimlessly. The chaotic lines reflected the chaos brewing in her mind. Each stroke gave rise to anxious thoughts, an uninvited parade of doubt, fear, and urgency. Could she truly chart a new path for herself amidst the wreckage of her marriage? The mere act of drawing sparked something deeper within her. A conception of possibility emerged, whispered ideas of reconnecting with the vibrant woman she had sidelined. What if she dared to embrace the ambitions she once held? Confronting Mark wouldn't only mean accepting the end of their relationship, it could also carve the space for her to reclaim her identity. The thought scared her. Part of her wanted to retreat into the familiar facade of a devoted mother, but another demanded acknowledgement of her buried dreams. Determined to take a step, Jessica put down the crayon and turned to her phone. She pulled up a search engine and typed, "Art classes near me." The taps of her fingers felt surreal, each keystroke thumping like the drums of war against her hesitation. The page populated with options, vibrant images of creativity calling to her deeply buried aspirations. Amid these pictures of canvas and palette, a breakthrough moment emerged. This was not merely about art. It signified movement, a different path. Jessica's heart raced at the thought of being in a room filled with like-minded individuals, all willing to share their artistic pursuits. Could she embrace the vulnerability of putting herself out there again? They might ask her thoughts, her ideas, her voice, so often silenced in recent years, might actually find a stage. An image caught her eye: a local community center offering adult evening art classes and a Friday workshop focusing on self-expression through painting. The urge to sign up surged within her, pulsing alongside her fears. She imagined herself surrounded by easels, colors swirling like the storm within her, each brushstroke unraveling a tighter knot of anticipation. She hesitated, a flicker of doubt spiraling through her mind. Would she be good enough? Wasn't it selfish to invest time in herself while her children still needed her? Just then, the laughter of her children broke her reverie. They were trying to balance crayons on the edge of the table, giggling over their petty competition. In that laughter, she found clarity. Life was already in flux, and her children would benefit from witnessing her embrace her desires rather than suffocate under the weight of regret. They needed to know it was okay to return to creating, to exploring passions, to evolving beyond their current circumstances. With new resolve, she pressed register and watched as the confirmation pinged back. It was a small victory, yet monumental, a sliver of light in her otherwise cloudy horizon. That evening, as the sun dipped low, casting golden rays through the kitchen window, Jessica carved out time for herself, pulling out half-finished art supplies from the back of the pantry. Papers crinkled under her fingertips as she arranged brushes and paints on the table. Each color gleamed with potential, mirroring the awakening sensations stirring within her. As night descended, she faced the blank canvas that awaited her, an embodiment of both fear and thrill. This would be the beginning of her exploration, not just as an artist but as a woman ready to reclaim her identity beyond being a wife, a mother, or the person others expected her to be. But first, there loomed the impending confrontation with Mark, a vital discussion that would define not just their future, but the trajectory of her own. She needed to prepare for that conversation, to gather her thoughts and fortify her resolve. The time had come to face him, to lay bare her newfound ambitions against the reality of their fading relationship. Would she find the strength to assert herself before him? Would she cultivate her voice as fiercely as the colors awaited her on the canvas? The uncertainty cracked open another layer of fear, beckoning a deeper exploration as she braced for the moment of truth awaiting her. The morning sun spilled through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the kitchen where Jessica tightened her grip around the coffee mug, its heat comforting her hands as anxiety twisted in her stomach. Today would mark a significant chapter in her life, one she had anticipated yet dreaded in equal measure. The weight of the conversation stuck to her like a thick fog, and she could feel the impending confrontation with Mark looming like a storm cloud. As the laughter of her children filled the air, it fueled both her resolve and her trepidation. They were blissfully unaware of the tumult that churned just beyond their innocence. Would they understand when she explained her choice to pursue her passions, to reclaim the parts of herself she had neglected? She knew she couldn't suppress her desires for the sake of preserving a calm facade for them much longer. In the midst of her morning routine, Jessica stole a moment to breathe. She visualized her art class, the warmth of creativity enveloping her, each brushstroke a step toward rebuilding her identity. The image provided comfort, but it brought along a stream of anxiety about her children's perceptions. Would they see her as selfish? The moment we truly embrace who we are, she thought, is the moment they learn to do so too. This epiphany bolstered her confidence. They had to see her live her life fully, not simply exist within the confines of their routines. It was time to embody the woman she had always longed to be. Just as she started to feel her nerves settle, the stirring of toddlers' feet filled the room, bouncing in with a blend of giggles and mischief. Their energy recharged her and reminded her of the importance of this transformative path ahead, not only for herself but for them, as well. The thought anchored her, helping her push aside the voices of doubt. With a newfound determination, she set her coffee down and moved to gather her notes, writing down the points she needed to express clarity to Mark. The act of writing settled her mind and set the wheels of ambition in motion. She outlined her thoughts, each word a layer of her resolve. I need to find my identity, art is a part of me, and I want to show the kids that happiness is found in pursuing dreams. The more she wrote, the clearer her intentions became. This wasn't simply about her wanting to leave Mark behind, it was about stepping forward into her own light. When the hour finally arrived, Jessica felt her heart pound harder than before. Each second dragged, stretching tension as she calculated her breaths, trying to find a steady rhythm amidst the chaos of emotions. Finally, he walked through the door, and the subtle shift in air marked their old normalcy, slightly strained, yet so familiar. Can we talk? She started, her voice a little firmer than she felt inside. She stood tall, her posture conveying determination as she motioned towards the living room where they could sit. Mark's expression shifted, curiosity mingling with a hint of concern. What is it? He asked, the normal edge in his voice hinting at his uncertainty. She took a moment, letting the silence frame her thoughts. I've been thinking about us, about me. I want to explore my own identity, through art. I'm ready to embrace the person I used to be. His brow furrowed as her words hung heavy in the air between them. She pressed on, feeling the rush of adrenaline flow through her. This isn't just about you and me. I want our children to see that it's okay to pursue life and happiness. I want them to learn the importance of self-fulfillment. Mark remained silent, absorbed in her declaration, a hard expression mingled with the fear of his own questions. The room was thick with unspoken words, a precarious balance of their past life and the potential rupture of their future. Jessica caught her breath, ready to face his response, prepared for the fallout of her honesty. Would he understand or resist? Would he lash out or simply not comprehend the gravity of her change? Her pulse raced as she leaned into the moment, determined to shatter the silence and reveal the depths of her yearning. Would this become a pivotal turning point in their lives, or merely a nudge toward inevitable separation? The next sentence hung like a fragile string, teetering on the edge of a new reality, waiting for truth to unravel before them both. The silence whispered promises of courage, calling for the next move, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. The silence in the room felt suffocating, each second stretched thin as Jessica braced for Mark's response. His reaction would define this moment. Would he see her for who she was trying to become, or would he retreat into the safety of their predictable routines? At last, Mark shifted. Explore your identity. The words came out slowly, as if he were tasting them. What does that even mean, Jess? You're a mother, our children need you here. His eyes were stormy, swirling with hurt and confusion. Jessica felt the heat of his gaze, an unexpected clash between love and resentment. They need to see me pursue my passions, Mark. They need to see that it's okay to want more than just what's expected. Her voice was stronger than she anticipated, the underlying resolve amplifying her courage. But what about us? He pressed, voice breaking slightly. You're talking about changing everything. What's left for me? The confrontation ignited a whirlwind within Jessica. His questions forced her to confront an uncomfortable truth. Her desire to grow felt like a betrayal of everything they had built together. I can't sacrifice my dreams for the fear of making waves, she asserted, her heart pounding. This isn't just about you, it's about showing our children they can chase their own dreams too. Mark's frustration began to clash with his desperation to understand. His brow knitted tighter, and Jessica admired this moment of vulnerability. Perhaps, buried under layers of misunderstanding, there was a possibility to find common ground. Rather than retreating, he seemed to move forward, a flicker of optimism flickering amid their tumult. What if they don't view you as our children's mother first? The question was loaded, directed straight at her core. What if they think you love your art more? Jessica felt a stab of uncertainty but allowed that pain to linger. Maybe they will at first, but isn't that a risk worth taking? If I don't nurture my passions, how can I be the role model I want to be? The revelations felt like tremors in the foundation of their relationship. Would Mark ever be able to see beyond his fears? Each word she spoke reshaped her understanding, a mirror reflecting her own aspirations back at her. She shifted, feeling the weight of uncertainty seep into her skin, grounding her. What we had is not what we can have now. I want to reforge my identity not as your wife, but as Jessica, the artist. His expression shifted, revealing doubt tinged with a hesitant understanding. The vulnerability of their exchange opened a dialogue where walls crumbled. So this is really happening, he murmured, almost to himself. Jessica felt a rush of relief and trepidation. Everything is changing, Mark. I need you to see that. With her heart pounding, she had crossed a threshold. There was no turning back now, no running away from the complexities of this new reality. She would fight for her identity, yet she also hoped he would come to appreciate her journey. The quiet settled, weighted down with potential. What if I want to support you, but I don't want to lose our family dynamics? The fragility of his words made Jessica pause. Then we must find a way to redefine those dynamics. We can learn together. But it starts with acceptance. In that moment of clarity, she recognized her own commitment not just to her art but also to guiding Mark towards understanding not merely about the woman she strived to become, but about the shared paths they could explore as partners. Jessica felt the edges of her fear beginning to soften. In the crucible of this conversation, she glimpsed the potential for growth, healing, and perhaps even deeper connection. As they sat in silence, processing their emotions, a new realization dawned upon her: facing her fears about their family was only just the beginning. Inspired yet daunted by the turbulent road ahead, she took a deep breath and resolved to embrace whatever lay in store. Are you willing to take this journey with me, even if it means redefining everything? He looked at her, uncertainty etched across his face, yet something glimmered in his eyes, a flicker of hope. Jessica could feel the tension mounting, a turning point in their lives looming on the horizon. The next move was uncertain, but the world of possibilities ahead filled her with a mix of anticipation and dread. How would he respond to her invitation to embark on this shared journey? Jessica awoke the next morning with a heavy heart, the echoes of last night's conversation still resonating in her mind. As she walked to the living room, the sun streamed through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing aimlessly in the air. She felt an urgent pull to seize the day, yet the weight of uncertainty threatened to anchor her down. Could she truly become the artist she yearned to be while navigating the upheaval in her family? She poured herself a cup of coffee, trying to silence the doubts creeping in. The aroma filled the kitchen, a familiar comfort that briefly distracted her. Yet, the thoughts of Mark's confusion and the children's need for stability loomed large. She wondered what it meant to be both a mother and an artist in a world that often demanded exclusivity. The duality felt suffocating. After a moment of reflection, Jessica decided it was time to take action. The idea of exploration was no longer just a thought, it needed to manifest into something tangible. She opened her sketchbook, the once blank pages now a raw canvas for her evolving identity. Her pencil glided across the surface as her mind wandered through memories of colors, scenes, and emotions, each stroke a tiny declaration of independence. With every line, she recalled the dreams she'd shoved aside in favor of family obligations. The fearless artist who once dared to showcase her work had been replaced by a version of herself that hesitated at the crossroad of comfort and ambition. Jessica took a deep breath and focused on breathing life back into that girl. As creativity flowed freely, she recognized the power of art as both expression and liberation. The door swung open just as the sun reached its zenith outside. Mark stepped in, his expression layering concern with curiosity. "Hey, you look different," he noted, a hint of hesitation woven into his words. Jessica smiled, although the tremor of uncertainty lingered at the edges. "I'm working on something. I think I'm ready to start taking those steps." The conviction in her voice surprised even her. Mark approached, cautiously intrigued. "What does that mean?" There was a flicker of apprehension in his eyes, perhaps a whisper of fear at what those steps might entail. It means I want to show our children what it looks like to follow your passions, to embrace who you really are, she replied, the words spilling forth faster than her thoughts could fully comprehend. And honestly, I'm figuring it out as I go just like you. The tension in the room shifted, a tension heavy with promises of change. He stepped closer, dropping the baggage of doubt. You know I want to support you, Jess. I just don't know what that looks like yet. Jessica's resolve could feel the moment turning. What if supporting me means understanding that I might not be available in the same way as before? The words tasted bitter but necessary. It was time to face the truth woven into the fabric of their family. Mark's brows knitted together, emotions colliding behind his facade. She saw the wheels turning in his mind, each thought a step deeper into the unknown. Would he understand that her march toward individuality didn't equate to abandoning their family? I'm not leaving, Mark. This isn't about walking away. It's about bringing more into our lives. The current of hope surged between them. As the day unfolded and discussions turned gradually lighter, Jessica felt a fire igniting within her, a deep acceptance of who she was becoming. Every conversation with Mark filled her with energy and determination. Yet, as the shadows of doubt still loomed, she wondered if they could dynamically redefine their relationship without losing the essence they had built together. With a whirlwind of thoughts surrounding her, she stood at the threshold of her transformation, both exhilarated and terrified. The day had offered a preliminary sense of teamwork, but a question thrummed at her core: how would their family react to her artistic pursuits once it became real, once she actually began to showcase her work publicly? And just like that, something primal called out within her, drawing her closer to the surface of her long-buried dreams. The winds of change were rising, whether she welcomed them or not. Would Mark's backing be unconditional, or would it waver under the strain of reality when they finally faced what lay ahead of them? Her heart raced with exhilaration as that thought lingered. What would happen next? Jessica's determination surged with newfound clarity as the days unfolded. She dove deeper into her art, tirelessly sketching in the early morning hours while the world around her still slept. Each stroke became a reminder of her existence beyond motherhood, a silent rebellion against the self-imposed boundaries she had long accepted. One particular afternoon, she ventured to a local cafe that buzzed with creative energy, walls adorned with vibrant artworks and a crowd of spirited artists discussing their latest ventures. Sitting at a window table, sketchbook open, she couldn't help but feel the atmosphere invigorating her spirit. Ideas flowed like the coffee she sipped, rich and aromatic, a stark contrast to the stagnant air of uncertainty that had enveloped her. The couple at the next table animatedly debated the merits of abstract art, a topic that filled her with nostalgia for the days she would delve into critiques and discussions about technique. Listening intently, Jessica savored their insights, secretly yearning to be part of that conversation. However, a gnawing fear rippled through her. What would they think of her work? Would they dismiss her because of her time away from the art world? Just then, a stranger approached her table, a paint-smeared apron hanging from his shoulders. I couldn't help but notice your sketches. They have a real heartbeat, he complimented, his eyes alight with genuine admiration. Jessica's cheeks flushed, surprise washing over her. She smiled, uncertainty flickering in her stomach. Thank you, I'm just exploring. Exploring is what art is all about, he replied, plopping down at her table, uninvited yet welcomed. I'm Ethan, by the way. I run a small gallery uptown. We're always looking for new talent for upcoming exhibits. Her heart raced as optimism intermingled with anxiety. An exhibit? Questions swirled in her mind, drowning the small voice whispering, "This isn't for you." She hesitated, calculating her next move. Would this be the moment she'd waited for? On impulse, she nodded. I'd love to learn more. Each word felt monumental, a shift in her trajectory, like a tightrope walker gaining balance amidst the wind. As they discussed art, Jessica allowed herself to share bits and pieces of her journey, the challenges she faced as a mother and an artist, each confession carving a deeper commitment to her transformation. Ethan listened intently, encouraging her to envision showcasing her work. The thought alone chased away remnants of doubt. after their conversation wrapped up, Jessica walked home, her senses amplified by the artistic possibilities she had just glimpsed. She found her children outside, laughter spilling from their backyard play, the sound a stark contrast to the internal storm brewing within her. Like a tightrope walker, she now straddled two worlds: motherhood and artistry, both demanding but inherently valuable. That night, confronted by Mark's tired gaze as he sank into the couch beside her, Jessica's heart fluttered in apprehension. Would he celebrate her potential or address the ever-growing rift between their visions of family? "Tell me about your day," Mark ventured, eager to linger on light topics. But the weight of her resolve pressed down on her desires. She needed him to understand. "I met someone, a gallery owner. He's interested in my work," she revealed, testing the waters cautiously. Mark's brow furrowed as silence stretched between them, heavy with unsaid words. Would this be the moment where support morphed into reluctance, sowing seeds of doubt once more? The anxiety crept back, threatening to coil around her heart. "I want to take this step, Mark. To do this for me but also for us, to show the kids what's possible," she pressed, her voice wavering slightly. Amber flames of discomfort danced in Mark's eyes, illuminating the path to deeper questions. "But what does that mean for us? For the kids?" Caught in the grip of a vital crossroads, Jessica understood the stakes had suddenly escalated. Art might symbolize freedom, yet it also risked unraveling the delicate fabric of their family. As the tension thickened between shared dreams and stark realities, Jessica realized she stood not only on the edge of her individual aspirations but also faced the looming possibility of a relational fracture. With anticipation etching itself into her heart, she wondered just how far she could stretch her new self before something snapped. Would her pursuit forge deeper connections or reveal hidden fractures that could change everything she believed? In that moment of uncertainty, one thing was abundantly clear: while she yearned to ignite her passions, the full weight of their implications loomed large. As their conversations deepened, how would they navigate this crucial juncture together? The morning after their tense conversation, Jessica woke with a knot in her stomach. Dreams of paintbrushes and canvases swirled in her mind, tangled with the chilling reality of yesterday's discussion. Each thought felt like a weighted anchor, pulling her further into uncertainty. She pulled herself out of bed, glancing at the still sleeping Mark, his silhouette peaceful yet distant. Would she be okay to shatter that serenity? After a quick breakfast for the kids, she escaped to her designated art corner, a small nook in the living room cluttered with half-finished canvases, tubes of paint, and sketch pads filled with her thoughts. Each piece had become a confidant, absorbing her hopes and fears. She found solace in putting something tangible on the canvas, allowing her emotions to breathe outside the confines of her mind. With every stroke of her brush, Jessica poured herself into the piece, vibrant, chaotic colors clashing beautifully, reflecting her inner turmoil. She lost track of time, completely absorbed in the flow of creation, only to be jolted back by the sound of excited laughter. Her children had burst through the door, their energy pedaling through the air like electric currents. "Mom! Come play!" her youngest exclaimed, tugging at her sleeve. She hesitated, the allure of artistic freedom warring with the responsibilities tied to being a mother. Yet, as she watched their joyous faces, she felt the warmth of connection, a reminder of the life she was cultivating. "Just a minute, sweetie," she responded, redirecting her focus to the canvas. But the moment passed quickly. The laughter outside called louder, and she reluctantly set her brush down, entangled in the dichotomy of her desires. She could almost hear the whispers of doubt creeping back in. Was she betraying herself by delaying her journey into the art world? Later that afternoon, a message pinged her phone, a notification from Ethan. He was reaching out to set up a meeting to discuss the foundation of her upcoming exhibit. Excitement bubbled within, yet an unexpected wave of fear swept in. How could she justify this decision to Mark, who already seemed uneasy about her ambitions? In a cautious manner, she approached Mark, who was seated at the table scrolling through his phone. Ethan reached out. "He wants to meet to discuss the exhibit." Mark's eyes lifted, filled with an amalgamation of disbelief and concern. "What do you think that means? Are you ready for this, Jess?" The question hung between them, laden with implications. I don't know, but I want to be. I think I owe it to myself, to us, really, she declared, her pulse quickening. Or you could be setting up expectations that could lead to disappointment, Mark countered, the shadows of anxiety painting his features. Doubt pricked at her certainty. Was she prepared to face the fears woven into every fiber of their family dynamic? I need to explore what I'm capable of, Mark. Isn't that worth it? Silence stretched uncomfortably between them as Mark studied her face. A myriad of unspoken worries swirled in his eyes. What if you go too far? What if this art thing, it changes everything? Jessica steeled herself against a wave of frustration. But aren't we already changing? Every day, every decision we make, we're evolving. Shouldn't we let that growth happen naturally? Just as his tension seemed to dissipate, the front door swung open, interrupting their moment. A figure stepped in unannounced and striking in its ease. It was Ethan, in that paint-smeared apron she had come to associate with serendipity, amplifying her heartbeat. With an instinctive hesitance, Mark stood, an unwelcoming edge creeping into his expression. Jessica's breath caught, the realization dawning on her. This was the crucible moment where her art, her identity, would either fracture or reignite their family dynamic. Sorry to intrude. I hope I'm not interrupting, Ethan grinned, oblivious to the charged atmosphere. Jessica's mind raced as the gravity of the situation settled in. Would her relationship be able to withstand the weight of her newfound ambitions? Or would this meeting be yet another collision in a series of seismic shifts? As her world teetered on the brink of transformation, Jessica understood that she needed to brace herself for the unfolding complexities of both her artistic journey and the repercussions it would have on her family. In that instant, a single burning question lingered in the air: could she handle both? As the conversation began, an unsettling anticipation settled in her gut, drawing her deeper into the chaos of uncertainty that awaited. What truths would emerge in this crossroads between her ambitions and her family's expectations? Jessica's heart raced as Ethan settled into the armchair, completely unaware of the simmering tension. With an artist's ease, he began discussing the structure of the exhibit, throwing around terms like curation and audience engagement that resonated with her dreams. Yet, each word felt like a double-edged sword, an exhilarating invitation and a heavy chain binding her between two worlds. Mark remained silent, leaning against the wall, arms folded, his expression a stark mask of skepticism. Jessica could feel his eyes on her, scrutinizing every slight adjustment of her demeanor, searching for a crack in her resolve. The air thickened between them, painted in strokes of uncertainty as Ethan sketched the vision for her works. What I love about your art, Jessica, Ethan said, his voice melodic with encouragement, is how it captures raw emotion, the chaos, the beauty. It resonates deeply. His praise ignited a flicker of confidence within her, yet it was quickly snuffed out by the weight of Mark's glare. Jessica felt trapped in a glass case where her ambition sparkled, yet her reality sparked anxiety. The very essence of her passion seemed to ignite a conflict she had tried to sidestep. Ethan continued to discuss logistics and themes, but her mind wandered to her children's laughter, the way it once filled her heart with unwavering joy. How could she reconcile that joy with the looming sense of upheaval? The emotional push and pull became unbearable, each inquiry from Ethan a reminder of the dichotomy she faced: family or passion. Let us hone in on a central theme for your exhibit, Ethan suggested, leaning forward, a note of excitement in his voice. Something that truly captures who you are. Have you thought about that? Jessica nodded, her heart racing with the thought of finally revealing herself, layer by layer. I've been thinking about exploring. What about your family? Mark interrupted, an edge to his voice that sent a jolt through her. She turned to him, frustration bubbling to the surface. This is about my art, Mark. My journey. That's just it, Jess. Your journey has a ripple effect, he replied, a heated urgency in his tone. What if your pursuit leads to a distance between us? Between you and the kids? Jessica's heart sank. The unspoken fear in Mark's eyes became painfully clear. It was as if he feared that her pursuit of artistic freedom would dismantle the very fabric of their familial bond. Ethan glanced between them, brow furrowing in confusion, as if stumbling into an emotional minefield. "This is about expressing yourself, Jess," he said gently. "Art is a vital part of who you are." Her gaze flickered to Mark, who would never comprehend the depth of her yearning. The fight for her identity was no longer merely about painting, it had morphed into a struggle for recognition not just from the art world, but from the very person she should confide in. "Jessica," Mark's voice broke through her thoughts. "I just want what's best for you and our family." The conflict roared within her, a tempest of hope and fear. "And I'm trying to find what's best for myself too. Are you really willing to drag me back into a box because you're scared?" Silence enveloped the room, thick and oppressive. Each second felt like an eternity as they grappled with what was left unspoken, the cost of her dreams clashing against their shared life. "Maybe we need to think about this more carefully," Mark finally said, his tone cautious, as if teetering on the edge of acceptance and fear. Jessica felt anger swirl with her sadness. This wasn't a negotiation, it was her truth. "Maybe I'm done waiting for permission." The intensity of the moment surged, leaving a palpable uncertainty. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, his jovial demeanor replaced by an awkward apprehension. The trajectory of Jessica's life was becoming bolder, yet she knew danger lurked as change approached. As the evening waned, Jessica understood the confrontation with Mark had only begun. She was carving out a new identity, one that posed a serious challenge to their relationship. Uncertainty loomed over her decision to embrace this persona fully. It was a dance between personal growth and familial loyalty. Tomorrow would demand clarity. What she didn't yet grasp was how this journey could unearth hidden depths she never imagined existed within her. But in that moment of reflection, a shocking realization washed over her. Was she really prepared for the realization that some forms of love required letting go? With the tension still hanging like an unfinished brushstroke, an obligation loomed in the air. Could she brave this journey alone, or would she fight for a vision that might fracture her family forever? As she stared at the walls holding the echoes of her dreams, she couldn't shake the unsettling question that lingered: was her art worth more than the love she feared losing? Dawn crept into Jessica's life, illuminating the kitchen as she prepared another day of negotiation between her dreams and her family. The brightness felt both hopeful and oppressive as she rinsed the last dish, each splash echoing the turmoil resounding in her heart. She took a breath, allowing herself to savor the moment of silence before the responsibilities of the day descended. Ethan's vision from the night before played on repeat in her thoughts, but Mark's words lingered like a shadow, casting doubt on her aspirations. A part of her longed to dive headfirst into the unknown world of creation, to embrace the reckless abandon of her art, yet another part felt tethered by the cords of domesticity and worry. As Jessica dropped the dishcloth on the counter, she glanced at her reflection in the window. The woman staring back seemed split between two lives, one of vibrant color and expression, the other muted by the weight of obligation. This realization struck her: she was not just choosing between a career and a family, but rather between authenticity and numbing compliance. With that insight, a flicker of clarity surged through her. Drawing in a measured breath, Jessica moved to her art studio, the sacred space where her imagination took flight. The scent of oil paints and linseed oil filled her senses, a gentle reminder of the joy they once brought. Today, she thought, it was time to confront what she truly wanted. As she prepared her canvas, she envisioned not just the artwork but the story she wanted to tell. What if she painted the turmoil, the contrasts? A piece that encapsulated the duality of love and ambition. She squeezed the paint tube, a vivid crimson oozed onto her palette. This was her voice, her narrative, a bold declaration that defied silence. Her brush danced across the canvas with increasing fervor, each stroke shedding layers of doubt and fear. A whirlwind of shapes and colors unleashed itself, creating a storm that mirrored the chaos in her heart. As she created, she felt a burgeoning confidence igniting her spirit. For each line that formed within her artistic realm, there was a corresponding realization her passion did not have to negate her identity as a mother and partner. It could coalesce into something beautiful, something transformative. Hours passed, lost in the rhythm of creation. Yet, the thought of Mark crept back. And would he understand this expression? Would he see it as a bridge or a barrier? Her pulse quickened at the prospect of confrontation. She captured her self-doubt on the canvas with sweeping motions, bringing the essence of her internal struggle to life. Just as she concluded a tumultuous stroke, the door creaked open. Mark's silhouette framed the entrance, tension crystallizing in the air. The question hung, palpable yet unspoken: could he see her? Could he understand the release she found in every paint splatter? His eyes swept across the work in progress, a cacophony of colors battling for dominance. "What have you been doing, Jess?" he asked, a mix of curiosity and apprehension etched into his tone. Jessica hesitated but steadied herself. This was a moment of truth. "I've been working on something important to me," she said, channeling the conviction she felt throughout her creative session. "It's about my journey, about us." Mark stepped closer, reluctant yet intrigued. "Us? Or just you?" This would require careful negotiation. She could either choose a path of defensiveness or an opening for genuine dialogue. Every instinct screamed that she needed to confront their ghosts, to release the tension that had built up like dried paint on her palate. With her pulse racing, she met his gaze, ready to articulate her desire for freedom without forsaking their bond. "It's about both. About how we influence one another, and how I can't ignore the person I am beneath all the layers of what life has made me." As the air thickened with the weight of their exchange, Jessica felt a shift, an opportunity to confront not just her fears, but Mark's as well. Would he embrace her journey, or would he place her back into the confines of the life they once built together? With each heartbeat, the possibility of a breakthrough glimmered. But could they truly redefine their love, or would this moment shatter the already delicate balance? As the brush paused above the canvas, the question emerged, sharp and demanding: would they discover the courage to walk this path together, or would it become an insurmountable barrier? Facing the dawning light of a new chapter, Jessica felt a sense of liberation unfurling within her. The echoes of last night's confrontation reverberated, yet today was different. Today was steeped in a resolve that eclipsed her fears. She was finally stepping into herself, not merely as a mother or a former wife, but as Jessica, the artist. With each brushstroke on the canvas, she recreated her reality, channeling every tumultuous emotion into colors that danced with vibrancy. The scarlet hues embodied her struggles, the cerulean tones reflecting her hopes and dreams. Each movement felt empowering, a manifesto of newfound clarity. For the first time, she felt the acceptance of her conflicting identities, realizing she could harmonize her passion for art with her commitments to her family. The day unfolded without the weight of anxiety. She found herself scheduling her art classes, each session filling her with excitement and anticipation. No longer did she shy away from discussions with Mark. Instead, their conversations about her pursuits revealed something profound, and unexpected support that transformed the underlying tension into an avenue for connection. They began exploring compromises that allowed her creativity to flourish while still nurturing their family dynamics. As she immersed herself in the art world, the validation she craved manifested. Local galleries started expressing interest in showcasing her work. Jessica felt the rush of success. Exhibits were not just about displaying art, they were a platform where her voice resided, a testament to her journey. That presence and recognition awakened a sense of pride beating steadily in her chest. Mark's acceptance wavered at times, still grappling with the fear of losing the woman he married. Yet, he found himself intrigued by the changes in Jessica, appreciating her unyielding spirit as he witnessed her exploration. They sat down in the evenings, discussing not just the art she created but the themes that interconnected their lives, how her pursuit of art injected vibrancy into their family narrative. He slowly began to comprehend that by sharing her passions, Jessica was opening their family up to embracing aspirations crafted individually and collectively. Moreover, Jessica dedicated weekends to her children, cultivating their artistic pursuits alongside her own. They splashed colors, scribbled on canvases, and expressed themselves in ways that inspired awe. In doing so, she demonstrated the balance she sought, the essence of familial love mingling seamlessly with personal ambition. Watching her children flourish in their creativity mirrored her own metamorphosis, establishing a new foundation based on exploration, authenticity, and permission to dream. When the day of her first exhibit arrived, Jessica stood before her creations, a culmination of struggles and triumphs displayed with pride. The gallery buzzed with energy as people engaged with her art, sensing the stories woven into every piece. Friends, family, and newfound acquaintances gathered, their eyes alight with intrigue and admiration. In their faces, Jessica found solid confirmation of her worth. She had conquered the silence that once kept her from thriving. As guests approached her, she felt buoyed by the warmth of their praise. "Your work speaks volumes," one patron remarked, eyes gleaming with wonder. "It feels raw and honest, a breath of fresh air." Each compliment solidified her place as an artist, reaffirming her journey from self-doubt to open celebration. This was no fleeting recognition. The walls of the gallery welcomed her with recognition and respect. Standing amidst the cacophony of validation, Jessica felt a wave of profound satisfaction wash over her. This moment, an eloquent embrace of her multifaceted identity, marked not just the success of her artistic endeavor but also an achievement more significant, her emergence as an empowered individual. By allowing others to witness her journey, she had not only reclaimed her identity but illustrated the rich tapestry of art, motherhood, and partnership to her children. Walking through the gallery one final time that evening, she noted the beauty of blending colors. Her life, once solitary hues, had transformed into a compassionate masterpiece of shared experiences. She understood now that embracing her true self was not an act of selfishness, but a profound gift to her family. With a heart full of goals met and aspirations ignited, Jessica stepped out into the night, ready to channel all of her energies into creating a legacy marked by authenticity, creativity, and love. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others face their own journeys. Comment your reactions and theories about this powerful conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.